Hello, everyone, and welcome to MHEDA Talks. I'm your host, Shari, the Chief Experience Officer at the CX Edge. Well, I can't think of a better way today to start the holiday season and to end the year than talking about charity and social responsibility. So today we have with us Kathy Fulton and Emily Martinchenko. Kathy is the executive director of the American Logistics Aid Network, and Emily is the development coordinator. Some people abbreviate it to Alan, so if you hear us refer to Alan, that is the American Logistics Aid Network. So welcome, both of you. Thank you for joining me today.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Sherry.
So excited to be here.
We're excited to have you. Like I said, this is always a great topic any time of year. But I think especially this time of year, number one is people are planning their budgets for the next year and their strategies for the next year. It's a great thing to consider where they're really going to engage in corporate responsibility. And then I think this time of year, people are just in that giving spirit as well. So it's always just a great time to talk about it. Before we jump into kind of the details of Alan and what you guys have done over the last few years, Kathy, I was hoping I could start with you. If you could give me just a little bit of background on yourself and how you get started with Alan.
Sure. So my background with Alan and my background in the industry is one of those non-traditional ones, which I think a lot of us who are in supply chain kind of have that non-traditional background. I actually started in information technology, and I was working for a third-party logistics company, Saddle Creek Logistics, based down in Central Florida. And this new organization called Allen, American Logistics Aid Network, was just getting started, and they needed someone to look at technology. And so I was voluntold. I love to tell everybody, never underestimate the power of being voluntold. Um, that I was going to help with this project. And that turned into a couple of years as a volunteer, a couple of years as a loaned executive, and then I've been leading the organization since 2013, when unfortunately our founding president passed away. So,
Well, that's a long time.
yeah, 10
Um,
years, it's hard to believe.
you never know how you're going to fall into some of these things, and some of these decisions become life-changing moments. So that's a great story. Emily, how about you? How did you get started with Alan?
I also do not hail from a logistics background, but my dad has worked in supply chain his entire life, so always kind of been on the periphery. But I came to Allen in the fall of 2020, and just because they were looking for someone to come on a very part-time basis, do a little marketing, do a little communications, and kind of no matter where I went in life or no matter what city I moved to, I always stuck with the Allen team. And then as Allen has grown in 2022 and 2023, I grew with the organization and eventually came on in May of this year on a full-time basis.
Yeah,
Oh,
it has been life changing, Sherry. Let me just say that, like having Emily on the team, especially because she came on like at the height of the pandemic in 2020. And so she has been through all of this with us.
and it sounds like Emily is one of the few people that grew up knowing what supply chain is, unlike most of
You
us,
would
including myself, who had never heard of it until I found myself in it. So,
Yeah.
you would
uh,
think, but I really did not learn the terminology or the definitions behind the terminology until I was fully on board with the Allen team. So I was late to the game, unfortunately.
wow, at least you started early. That's good. Um, so, could we just start for people that maybe aren't familiar with Alan? What really is Alan's mission?
Yeah. So I'll take this one and Emily jump in. So our mission really is about saving lives through well-coordinated logistics solutions. Effective, effective supply chains require effective logistics. Effective humanitarian responses also require effective logistics. There's a statistic out there that says that about 60 to 80% of humanitarian response spending goes towards logistics. So Allen exists to kind of help reduce that spend for nonprofit organizations and help them be more effective with their logistics activities so that as they're going out trying to help people who've just, either suffered from disaster or other humanitarian crisis, um, they can get the nourishment and hydration, shelter, medical care, anything that they need can be brought to them more effectively and more efficiently because of well-coordinated logistics. So that's who we are.
That's awesome. And I think to your point, it's such a vital piece, especially when there's a disaster, and probably the piece that people that aren't in it don't think about, and these are areas where it's not easy to get water and food to, and really kind of overcome that challenge is so imperative. So I think it's such a tremendous mission, and especially, I think there's never a lack of disasters, unfortunately.
Right.
But I sure know that, especially in the last 3 years, it's probably been pretty busy years for you, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I think the work that you're doing is so important.
Well,
Um,
so I just to add to that, people say, oh, it hasn't been a very busy hurricane season this year, or we haven't seen a lot of disasters. And the thing that we're always working on a disaster somewhere, whether it's a disaster that happened literally 3 years ago in Louisiana, like the Hurricane Laura disaster that happened in Lake Charles. Like we're still helping organizations who are rebuilding or recovering from that. So disasters are really long. It's not just what you're seeing on the news on a daily basis. We're always there.
Right, 'cause what we see on the news is so short-lived. You
Yeah,
hear about it for a day or a week in some cases, but the rebuilding goes on for years and years and
that's
years.
right.
And there's
Yeah,
people that need to be there. So that's
yeah.
such a good point. I do know that, and even the way that I first got familiar with Alan was through the MHEDA network and MHEDA talking about it. I've been to different events where you guys have been present talking about what Alan does. So I know MHEDA members are really involved in Alan in some capacity. I was hoping you could give me just a little bit of an overview of maybe 2023, what you've seen from some MHEDA members.
Absolutely. So we at Allen, we love MHEDA and MHEDA for many years, and not only in 2023, but has been instrumental in helping us help our nonprofit partners help disaster survivors and disaster response and recovery. And so we're always so grateful to be connected to MHEDA and their members alike. And to put that into a few impact statements, in 2023 alone, MHEDA members have donated or loaned 16 pieces of material handling equipment to 7 different nonprofit partners: forklifts, pallet jacks, even information and expertise on repairing equipment to make it more efficient and better used in warehouses to distribute disaster aid in the short term and in the long term. Kathy just mentioned a lot of the times we're working on disasters that and recovery efforts for disasters years after they've passed. And we had a MHEDA member loan a forklift to Adventist Community Services in Florida, who in the spring was still hard at work after Hurricane Ian, helping to rebuild and repair. Um, all of this equates, the donated or loaned equipment, it equates to over $13,000 worth of material handling equipment. And which in and of itself is a impressive number, but when you think about how that force multiplies, or how even one, $800 forklift that can speed up the efficiency of a warehouse, and that can reach thousands or tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people who need a hot meal or PPE or water bottles after a disaster. Um, and so that's kind of in terms of 2023 alone, that is some MHEDA member statistics at a glance. But I can trace it way back to 2015, where if you tally all of those numbers, MHEDA members have donated or loaned 58 pieces of material handling equipment and have supported us and our partners through COVID.
Yeah, and I
Extraordinary.
think it's such a great point that you bring up the equipment side of it, that Alan doesn't only take cash donations. And I know a lot of equipment companies have pieces of equipment that maybe just from a technology perspective are outdated, but still work and they're fine. So there's also a big opportunity to donate from an equipment perspective, because these are areas that all of that equipment might have got wiped out, that there is none there. And I think that's such a good way to donate and support Alan as well. So thank you for
Well,
sharing that.
Sherry, if I could just add real quick, Alan, we're servicing and we're helping and we're supporting nonprofit partners after disaster, but we also support so many small and medium-sized nonprofits that are doing community development and trying to help reach economically disadvantaged families. And I have to give a special thank you to Noble Lift, who I know is a MHEDA member, who has been consistently supporting Alan and our efforts to reach those small nonprofits who have such a small logistics capacity, and who are constantly trying to build their logistics knowledge. And one piece of equipment for them turns their world around in what they're able to accomplish on a day-to-day basis to service their community. So
Such a
very
great
impressive.
point. And I think it's just something for other members to keep in mind as they're going through inventory in the next few months, and seeing what they have and what they could possibly give. I don't think there's ever a lack of need within Allen for those types of equipment, for sure. What would you say right now are some of the biggest areas of need in the supply chain?
yeah, so material handling equipment is always needed, and just for the exact reasons Emily just talked about, the ability for a human to move, something, unload a truck, they can do about 50 pounds at a time, right? The smallest piece of equipment is going to be able to do, you know, 5 times that, 50 times that, right? That's going to make a huge impact for that nonprofit. So material handling equipment is always needed. Transportation is always needed. And, I know that there's so much happening in supply chains in general right now that it's people are just trying to survive, right, with their businesses. But there are still opportunities, um, especially especially this time of year when we see so many philanthropic initiatives happening where people are doing food giveaways or people are doing, additional collection drives, coats for kids, things like that. There are so many opportunities to just use that little bit of logistics to do a whole lot of good.
Yeah, and kind of staying on that topic, so as it relates to Alan, but as we talked about in the beginning, companies are right now planning for next year, and they're planning their corporate social responsibility initiatives. They're planning employee experience initiatives, and all studies have shown that having some type of charitable organization tends to get employees more engaged. Have you seen that within some of the companies that you work with, of the importance of building some of those social responsibility campaigns within their own organizations?
Sherry, I think every business out there right now is trying to figure out how do we connect with our employees? How do we do things that are going to provide them with a meaningful employment environment, right? What are the things that are going to create that stickiness between employee and employer? And wages, absolutely. Number one, right? They want to be paid fairly. They want the flexible work environment, but they also want the opportunity to see that the work they're doing has meaning. And there is no better way to do that than with giving back. If they're using their logistics skills on a daily basis to move widgets, to make a buck for some company, how much more impactful is that going to be for that employee to be able to use those same skills, operating a forklift, using automation to make a difference for someone who's just had a really bad day, right? So yes, we are absolutely seeing that. Just about every company we talk to asks about how can you help me, give this type of information to my employees, and not just from a preparedness perspective, but we want them to know that logistics can do good. So, great question.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's such a good point. And I think I know a lot of organizations, especially with the material handling, have some type of initiatives. Um, but I think in terms of creating a holistic strategy, there's so much benefit in doing that instead of kind of the one-offs. Like whenever there's a big disaster, we all want to help. I think that's within everyone's nature. But I think you have to go into the year, unfortunately, assuming there is going to be some type of disaster and kind of pre-allocating maybe some of that budget for those and predetermining some employee experience events that they could be a part of helping out as the year goes by as well.
Absolutely. And planning for your business holistically, like you said, you need to plan your response in case a disaster happens to you. But if a disaster happens in your community, how are you going to respond if your business is still operating? So it is 100% that, end to end, taking care of my employees first, putting that oxygen mask on myself first, and then making sure that my community is okay. So I love that sentiment, Shari.
Yeah, yeah. So just to bounce around a little bit, I was kind of poking on your website a little bit before the our discussion today, and I got into your intelligence center, which might not be new, but it was new to me. So I thought it was a great ad. I had not seen that before. Could you tell me a little bit more about the Supply Chain Intelligence Center on your website?
Yeah, I'll jump in, and Emily, please fill in the cracks here. So back when the pandemic was just starting, it's hard to think back that far. There were a lot of activities happening that it was just really hard to keep up with all of the different government interventions that were happening, right? And so we needed a way to visually represent that. Well, the weather didn't stop happening during that time
Right.
either, right? So we said, okay, what is a way that we can have in one place anything that the government is doing, anything that is a man-made type of disaster, and anything that is weather related. So that resulted in our Supply Chain Intelligence Center is an amazing partnership with Everstream Analytics, where they provide all of the weather data. We go in and we add other types of disruptive events. So we're like right now we're tracking the low water flow on the Mississippi River, which is resulting in saltwater inundation. So it means more people in South Louisiana need bottled water. Things like the I-10 bridge collapse. We also had one in, where was that, Philly earlier this year, right? So all of those things that have potential to cause friction in supply chains, that have potential to disrupt the way that things move to market. We want to track that. We want to provide that out to all of our partners and Everstream lets us do that for free. So again, it's an amazing partnership.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that. I would want to end this on what really is the best way for people to donate to Alan.
I'll jump in here. So, Alan, we're a very small organization, and I'll start by saying we operate completely off of financial contributions through a very, very generous network of industry partners. And so, if you're looking for a meaningful way to give back, it's the end of the year. You can go, we just launched our end of year campaign, and you can go online to allenaid.org/delivering hope, and you can make a financial contribution to us. And every $1 donated allows our team to help transport and deliver $72 worth of disaster aid. So really, it helps us go the distance and be a force multiplier, like I mentioned earlier. But the other way is through making an in-kind contribution, whether that's transportation, material handling equipment, expertise, or warehousing space. And you can do that through our website as well. You can go online to allenaid.org/offer in kind, and you can fill out our online form detailing what you would potentially like to donate to us. It is not an obligation. We just tell everyone it is an opportunity for you to connect with us, for us to explore different ways that we can support each other, and you can support our work and disaster survivors. And we will put you in touch with Lexi, our operations coordinator, who's also been a wonderful new addition to the team this year. And we can figure out how to best leverage what you do best with what we do best, and in order to make a real difference in communities that need it.
That is such a great idea. I think, that people can connect with you without giving a commitment at that point in time, but having that partnership, I think, always keeps it top of mind with both organizations. So if people haven't started working with Alan, I think that's certainly a good place to start for sure, just to start the conversation. Well, you guys have been so informative. And like I said, I think this was just such a great way to end off the year, but we're not done yet. Because if you're not familiar with MHEDA Talks, we do have a lightning round where we like to get to know you guys a little bit better. So I have 10 questions here. I tried to go a little bit easy on you since it's your first lightning round, but I also make no promises.
And it's the
So Kathy,
holidays.
so Kathy, I'm going to start with you, and then Emily, you'll answer the same question. The next question, Emily, I'll start with you, and then Kathy, you'll answer it. So Kathy, start off easy. How do you feel about cranberries?
Ooh, that is a tough one. I love like the jelly cranberry sauce stuff. And I love dried cranberries and scones. Other cranberries, not so much.
Emily, how about you?
Big fan. Such a lovely winter fruit. Put it in a little seltzer with maybe a little cinnamon stick. Make a lovely little mocktail, and 'tis the season.
It did. I only like cranberries if it has vodka in it, but that's just me.
Oh,
Okay, well, if I'm
Um,
allowed to say cocktail, then I will.
oh,
I'll upgrade the mocktail
yeah.
to the full
This is
cocktail.
this is the mojito group of people. They're almost
love it.
offended if you say the word mocktail. Um, Emily, when you fly in a plane, do you wear a neck pillow?
I don't. I probably should, but I like to travel light, and I guess the neck pillow did not make the cut. But always
Kath-
headphones. I need music constantly.
Kathy, how about you?
Oh, this is such a horrible confession. So I have this thing that my daughter gave me that's called a sleep crown. And it is like actually a lifesaver. It covers your eyes and ears and blocks out noise, but it's like a full-on pillow. But yes, I do travel with my sleep crown everywhere I go.
Actually, I just wrote down sleep crown because I want to look that up.
So
Um,
full disclosure, I have migraines and it is a lifesaver. So.
that's good. All right, Kathy, what item do you think is worth spending more money on?
Ooh, um, wow. There are so many things, but I love a good dinner. Like I'm not necessarily a foodie, but my family is, and sometimes you just gotta treat yourself.
Great. Emily, how about you?
I'm going to say a good coffee maker. Which I learned the hard way. I bought the cheapest one, and when it came after a few painful weeks of very terrible morning coffee, I was ready to pick up the baseball bat and have a tragic end. But I was a good neighbor. I didn't do that. I just upgraded to a slightly more expensive one, and it's been smooth sailing ever since.
There are those things in life that you just have to spend a little bit extra on to make your life better. Emily, if you could be transformed into one animal, what would you choose?
I'd be a wolf. I don't know what I would do with it, but I think I would just go for a nice like run through the woods and enjoy some fresh air in my powerful wolf form. But I read a lot of Jack London as a kid to get in touch with the Canadian roots, and I think I developed an early love for wolves.
Very nice. Kathy, how about
Uh,
you?
oh my gosh. I would be a cat because I could sleep all day in the sun. Like that is totally my vibe. Maybe I'm just ready to hibernate.
Fair. Kathy, what are you looking forward to the most this holiday season?
My family and I are going on a fabulous 10-day vacation to London. So I am super
Awesome.
excited about just taking some time away, visiting a city I've not visited before, just doing all of the silly touristy Christmas market kind of things. So
Awesome. That'll be fun. Emily, how about you?
I love the Christmas season. I love the music. I love everything about it. When I go home, my parents have a very, very grand fireplace in their home, and I want to watch all the holiday movies. I want to watch The Holiday,
Mm.
I want to watch Elf, I want to watch Home Alone, which is my favorite Christmas movie, with the fireplace on.
My daughter and I just watched Home Alone last night because it's also her favorite Christmas movie. Emily, do you think you could win a game show?
I think with the right partner, I would be a competitive contestant on The Amazing Race.
Oh, that's a tough one.
But my sister, I stole that a little bit from my sister, who thinks she and my dad would, if not, if even if they didn't win, they would get some minor fame from their antics and their shared dynamic on that show. So I robbed that a little bit from her.
It's fair. Kathy, how about you? Could you win a game
Oh,
show?
well, I absolutely could win a game show, but I was going back to like, I don't know, Price is Right, like
Right.
old style game shows, Pyramid or, one of those silly old game shows. Um, what if, I don't know. Yeah, it'd be fun to try. How's that?
Kathy, have you or would your 12-year-old self think that you're cool?
My 12-year-old self was decidedly the uncoolest uncool of the bunch. So the fact that I can walk and talk and chew gum and, don't have terrible acne, she would probably think I've survived and I've made it.
Emily, how about you? Would your 12-year-old self think you're cool?
I'm happy to say that I think she would. I couldn't always say that, but Sherry, the past few years, I think she'd think I'm doing pretty well.
Good. All right, Emily, are you more of an introvert or extrovert?
I'm extrovert all the way. I even took one of the tests and I got 70% extroverted. So,
Wow.
I'm a people person.
Kathy, how about you?
100% introvert. Like I mentioned hibernating, that is my jam.
All right, Kathy. Would you rather be constantly sticky or constantly itchy?
Those are two terrible options. Um, I'd have to go for the sticky because like I can see some advantages to that. At least I wouldn't drop my phone so much.
Emily, how about you?
I'm gonna have to go with sticky as well. Both are terrible, but I feel like if I'm gonna twist that into doing something for good, I would find a way. I don't know what it would be, but
Well, you guys successfully made it through our lightning round. Congratulations. Thank you for playing. And thank you for spending some time with us today. I want to give you guys the last word. If you have any last words to say to the MHEDA members, especially as they look to 2024, about contributions to Allen.
I'll jump in here. Yes, my last word is thank you. We talked a little bit about how amazing Mahita staff and members have been to us through the years. Um, we are so excited about doing more together in 2024. So that's our big thing. Check us out. Call the Mahita staff if you don't know who we are. Like, who are these Allen folks? Yeah, check in with the staff, but also check out our website, allenaid.org. Everything you need is right there.
Well, thank you guys again so much for joining us. And thank you, listeners, for completing. This has been our 4th year of MHEDA Talks. It's been a really fun ride. We've already planned our schedule for 2024. So I hope you guys stick with us. We have some great content coming up next year. And I think we finished this year off with a bang. So thank you, everyone, for watching. Have a great holiday season. And we'll see everyone next year. Thank you, guys.